Welcome to another edition of Strange New Pod. I'm your Fleet Admiral and host, Julian Brown, alongside the best crew member this side of a good ol' uprising. That's right. Commander MC is here wondering if she should stage a Mirror Universe type of coup to host the show again, but it would be a one-person something. It would be you by yourself and I'd be dead.
It would be my YouTube channel.
It would be your YouTube channel. As you could see, we are down some people tonight. I'll just tell you what happened. They watched the Lower Decks trailer, then they went in the holodeck, and there was an incident with the biofilters. So they're all in sick bay, and it's just the two of us tonight. Don't go messing with those holodeck biofilters, because you will get the itis. You will get the itis.
They're rubbing themselves down with decontamination gel.
With the decam. Yeah, exactly. We are going to talk about that in a second. But it's just me and MC for the next, 3 hours. It's going to be freaking awesome. How you doing? What's going on?
I'm doing okay. Was watching this episode this afternoon and was, struck with emotions. So looking forward to talking about it.
These episodes are fantastic. Speaking of this week, it is our final, our Prodigy Season 2 coverage is wrapping up. It's done. Almost 20 weeks. We did a lot of double episodes, so a little under 20 weeks. But we got to the finish line. We covered every single episode. It is our review of the 2-part season finale, Ouroboros, what happens during the Solum uprising, who wins the final battle between Gwyn and Asencia. Are there even ever enough quantum torpedoes? The answer is no, but there should be.
Not for Janeway.
Not for Janeway. And we're going to break that all down. And I told MC, I'm just going to run through these names real quick because we have a big show and an announcement to make right after these. So we're going to get things moving. Thanks to our amazing patrons at the Ready Room level and above. Simon Stager, Jeff Reeve, Mariah Gossett, Tallulah, Jen Stein, Tina Alexander, Joe Saporito, Noe Santos, Kang Hui, Takako Nagumo, Fernando Nogales, SMK, Laura Linderman, Colin Davidson, Shatterhand 2049, Jesco, Michael Graham, Emily and Travis, Gildara, Cassie, B Tell Right, not Tell Wrong. I see Chris is in the chat tonight, and I wonder if he updated that or not. I did not look. I'm sorry. Maggie Light, Tyrannokilicus, Wayne Ritz, Skonavark, Sean, Jay Howard, Anna Yerdidon, Mehalani Uchiyama, Matt Harker, Davey Willett, Tara Poland, Slope 74, Rude Parakeet, Joshua Miller, Aaron W, Lanky Guy, Carl Angoli, Michael Kwan, Meredith, Caitlin, Elizabeth Dean, Jim McMahon, Sedano 317, Puka Hair, 3 Fry Short, Cat Tippe, Tripping the Read Alert, I did it again. Tripping the Read Alert over a pineapple, Sean Manning, Asher CBF, Chris Waterman, RHCB, Martin Simpson, Norman Buckwald, David Pribe Hildebrand, Taryn J. Robinson, Rod Grenier, Eric Pitt, and Brett Jones. And I think during that, my roadcaster went down. So if I sounded funky for a second, apologies. Also a big thank you to our Badmirals. Oh, your mic went down too. I still can't hear you. Still can't hear you. Still can't hear. 1 second, folks. Okay, can everybody hear me now? MC, you there?
I can hear you.
There, we're back.
Can you hear me?
Your cords aren't working. My cords aren't working. This podcast is going to happen whether our equipment likes it or not.
We're going to crawl ourselves across that finish line.
We are. It is going to be amazing. Give me 1 second here. I got to make a big note of that.
While you make that note, I will say a big thanks to our Badmirals, our EPs, Simon Stager, Commander Chris Waterman, Tara Poland, and Brett Jones.
Woo, woo, woo. Y'all freaking rock. It's good to see everybody in the chat. If you are just joining us, we're down some crew members tonight. We got some people staying late at work. We got things going on in households. We got some sick crew members. Me and MC are the 2-man command crew of the USS Protostar. We are making it work. Before we go any further, to our fans, listeners, supporters, everyone who may live in Florida and outlying areas, please stay safe. We hope you're safe. I know everything going on with the hurricanes has just been horrific, and we hope you all are okay. So, yes, please stay safe. Some quick news. directly following this show, we are going to take like a 15 minute break, and we are going to do The Late Show. We are doing another podcast right after this live. Me and MC. What are we doing, MC?
We are going to be talking about the Lower Decks trailer.
We are. We were just like, let's do The Late Show. I've always wanted to be Stephen Colbert. So
I want to be Seth Meyers.
well, there you go. So we'll have like Colbert and Seth Meyers. It'll be fucking awesome. So yeah, a full other podcast coming directly after this one. Lower Decks season 5 trailer breakdown. And yeah, it'll be great. Other news, NYCC, New York Comic Con next weekend. I'm actually kind of shocked, MC, that we got this trailer with Comic Con next weekend, that they didn't wait.
That is true.
To do it there.
Yeah.
A bit strange, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost like they might be doing something else there.
Yeah, they might. We'll see what happens. But stay tuned for updates and when we're going to be doing our New York Comic Con bonus show. That'll be coming up sometime. We'll have that information for you next week. And then our Lower Deck season 4 rewatch begins on Monday. You've seen MC's epic sticker, the Twin Twains with Moopsy. It's awesome. Everybody will have a chance to win a couple of those and the grand prize of Lower Deck season 4 on Blu-ray. Well, also, I asked all of the crew what their favorite, you know how much season 4 like means to the entire crew. So I asked y'all what your favorite moments were from the season, and there were some good ones.
Yeah. Oh, it's a good season. It's got some great moments
season.
in it.
So we'll have some TikToks to commemorate that. And then finally, check out our amazing partners. I think I just got an email from them, heroesandvillains.com. They just launched something Lord of the Rings related. I think I mentioned that a couple of weeks ago that they were going to be doing that collection. So if you are a Tolkien fan, a Lord of the Rings fan, now's the time. If you never used our code STRANGE to get 20% off your first order over there. MC, am I missing anything?
No, I don't think so, except Heroes and Villains is only good in the US.
That's true, though they did create that Canadian account, so maybe sooner rather than later. We'll see what happens. Should we get to our review of the Prodigy season 2 finale? Then we will. It is our review of Ouroboros parts 1 and 2, and our order tonight will be MC followed by MC. MC is going to do the whole pod. I'm just going to watch. No, MC followed by myself. So,
and I'll still get missed.
And you'll still get. I will miss you somehow. It'll be great. I will never live it down either. We're going to start right at the beginning of this episode. That's breaking the siege and heading to Solum. So after the events of the previous 2 episodes, Voyager breaks through. They're on their way to the planet where an uprising has begun against Asencia. Cornered by Starfleet and, Voyager and the Protostar and her people rising up against her, she launches all of the Rev 1 vessels into space to go attack Starfleet and the Federation. I think in like the Alpha, Beta, and I'm going to guess Gamma, maybe the Delta Quadrant. I don't know. I feel like Starfleet probably doesn't have a huge presence in the Delta Quadrant, so I'd say probably those 3. What did we think about Asencia's final play here?
She just goes full villain, like the whole fire everything. Like it's
full Nero.
Full Nero. And that's my one. That's my California reference. I might get more than one in because it's only the 2 of us, so I don't want to drive you crazy. But yeah, no, I mean, she's definitely like got that whole megalomaniacal thing going on where it's, she back up against the wall. So I like seeing this because up until this point, she's been very together, and that's been something that I've been very critical of, where it's just like Asencia keeps on like doing very well, and they're not really explaining very well how she is doing so well. But here we see that she's caught a lot of lucky breaks, and also like Wesley like got himself caught on purpose, and now she's kind of going on her own merits, and it's not really working, so she's just like kind of panicking.
Yeah, definitely panicking. It's still cool, right? Because you see those ships like going up into the portals.
Oh, it's
amazing. It's just like I posted a TikTok like right before we started tonight, and these like both these episodes are just beautiful from start to finish. Like you could tell how much like they saved the budget for the finales, because it's just like it sets up what these like final two episodes are going to be. Yeah,
except for the fact that we kept on saying this season how beautiful it was animated.
Okay, that is a good point. That is a good point. Yeah, she definitely goes full Nero though. Appreciated that. So Janeway gets the reports of what Asencia is doing, right? And she makes her final play as well, because Janeway always knows how to rally her crew. She prepares to get the Protostar back in time to Tars Lamora. She launches, 3 other campaigns, basically. First, having the science division, that's Rock, Zero, Wes, and Majel, do the math to make sure that the Protostar actually goes to Tars Lamora this time. Second is getting the Protostar ready with Chakotay and Holo Janeway, who is very spicy towards Chakotay. We're going to talk about that later. And then the ground mission with Dahl, Gwyn, Jankum, and Murph. And then we also get this nice moment while this is all happening of Dahl getting his old comm badge out, right? It's like kind of like a memento and like kind of almost like going into battle. We know it has this kind of major purpose later in the next episode. I just want to know what you think about Janeway once again. I said at the top, like, this is what she does. She always is able to rally a crew. She makes sure everybody is like always at their best. What do you think about that?
Janeway, she might be an admiral, but she's such a general.
Yeah.
I could totally see her and General Leia like working with each other. That is a ship that I didn't know I wanted until this moment.
All right.
But I love the 3 different teams. Everybody is kind of doing what they're best at. We've got the science people, we got the people on the ground, and we've got Chakotay and Holo Janeway being, an old married couple.
100%.
Yeah. The one thing I have to say, and we'll probably get more into this later, but when it came to the science division, I was disappointed in Wesley. Because he wasn't as sciencey as I wanted him to be. Like, come on, Wesley is like, aside from Spock, he is like the original nerd on Star Trek. Like, back in the day, he was the nerd boy, the nerd science boy, and there's so much of what he's doing as the Traveler is like science magic now, and so Rock is the one who has to come in and like be like it's still science magic, but more logical about it. So that made me a little sad as somebody who, really liked Wesley in TNG.
Yeah. I agree with you. It's no secret I've had issues with Wesley and basically Will Wheaton throughout the season. I just the performance in Prodigy didn't hit for me, and that's kind of the same thing. He just was kind of, it was just that, like, again, in these 2 episodes, the too kooky, too like Doctor Who for me. And like you said, like, I really just wanted him to be Wesley. But what really stuck out was just Janeway being Janeway. Like, these 2 episodes almost felt like Voyager episodes instead of Prodigy episodes. And I think that's a good thing. I think that it's just, like, Kate Mulgrew all season really brought like such a level of believability to the character. Like, this was the Janeway that we've always been watching through 7 seasons of Voyager. And this was just another one of those moments. And I really, really enjoyed it. And yeah, Dahl going to get this like out of like the cargo thing is just one of those like goosebump moments where you're like, and I like, listen, when I first watched it, I didn't put 2 and 2 together until he literally was like, oh wait, in the next episode, and put it down on the chair. So that was also sneaky and well done by the writers.
Yeah, like it fits so well because they draw attention to it in this, but it doesn't feel out of place that they draw attention to it, because it is like one of those things. Oh, it's a good luck charm, or whatever. He's connecting with the past, or his being on the Protostar, and that was when they were the most happy, and they're going to be saying goodbye to the Protostar again. And then it does set it up greatly for the next episode where I bawl my eyes out. I don't know where I could fit this in later, so I'll just say this now. These 2 episodes are really grown up. Like, it's amazing to me. Like, I mean, of course, we'll talk later on about what happens in episode 2, toward at the very end. But even during like the fight with Asencia and Gwen, you know, like they're going for kills, and
it's 100%.
And it's really draws attention to the fact that while kids can watch this show, this is not a kids show.
No, especially like, you know, you have that Klingon episode that we talked about, and then, which I thought was kind of the last episode that was really like kid driven. And then the rest is really this arc up until the final minutes of the season. It is very mature. It is very grown up for sure. And that kind of brings me also to my next point that I want to talk about is making 24 minutes feel like 45, like making this feel like a long episode, because we've talked about this previously, that they pack so much into 24 minutes, and it's amazing how well they do that. Because so much happens in this first part, right? To get to the second part. And we're going to start briefly just talking about seeing Janeway, right? She's at the helm. She's doing these awesome strafing runs, right, against all the ships heading to destroy the Federation. It like from basically the beginning of the episode, it gives you that finale, almost movie like, you know, big motion picture feel. What did you think about this scene too, knowing she doesn't have enough quantum torpedoes to take on like all these ships on her own, and this could be like almost like a sacrifice run?
Yeah, it's such a Janeway thing to do. Like absolutely, like this is what Janeway would do. Just like, you know, keep on firing until you can't fire anymore.
Yeah.
And are you sure you can't find any more quantum torpedoes? Have you checked under the floorboards?
Did you check Commander Ticey's quarters? He's got some under his bunk.
And I mean, as for making this sound, 24 minutes feel like 45, it's so weird because yes, this first episode does feel like 45 minutes long. And then the second half does not feel like 45 minutes. It feels like they wrap up most of like the big plot in this. And I would call almost the second part a coda.
It is definitely a coda. The second part is 100% a coda. There's yeah. I liked this so much that I spent like an hour before we recorded making a little montage to this because I had to, because it just, I don't know. I love Janeway so much, and like you said, this is just so Janeway. And I've been talking all season about how this show can just feel so cinematic at times, and this was one of those moments, from the sound design to Janeway's, you know, or I should say Kate Mulgrew's acting when she says, you know, like, you know, I could do this all day. No one, you know, everybody's coming home from this. She drops a cap line with the "I could do this all day." I wonder if that was a slight Marvel homage there, a nod, a tip of the shield. I like.
Are you saying that there's nerds who write this show?
Are there? I don't know. I immediately was like, oh, that's Cap. That's Cap. But it was just so cool, like burst after burst after burst. And you know she can't win this by herself, but she'll go full year of hell and like ram into one of them, like if she needs to. And you definitely got that feeling watching this. We go from quantum torpedoes to like lovers drama on board the Protostar. Hollow Janeway giving Chakotay a ton of sass, calling him out on like Maquis tactics, other things. And it's partly because she just doesn't want to leave. And she like touches him at one point, and you're like, you can as a fan read this any way you want, but this is what that was, right? This is at least one side not wanting to leave the other.
I mean, yes, fans can read it any way they want, but in the 10 years that they were stranded, they absolutely fucked. I'm sorry. Like, there's just no question.
Mars, we know what happened.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, look, the way Janeway is acting, like, I feel like Hollow Janeway would totally like step aside for Admiral Janeway because she knows what the relationship is between them. But it's not even about that. It is that it's the cessation of self.
Yeah.
Janeway doesn't want to lose the memories that she had with Chakotay. And of course, we can get into a whole philosophical argument as, you know, she gets backed up. Is that really the same Janeway? Like, I mean, she seemed pretty happy with it, but, you know, there's, you know, that whole question.
Yeah.
But yeah, she doesn't want to leave Chakotay, and it is, these are my memories, and if I go back, then I have to erase them. And we did see this in the first season, you know, Janeway having to sacrifice herself. And it's actually interesting comparing them because Janeway does make the sacrifice, and she, you know, says like she knows that she can't, you know, she knows that she can't be backed up, and she's willing to do it. You're kind of wondering if maybe there's a little echo of this Janeway still left in there, who's going to make that sacrifice play.
Yeah. They seem like very different characters, right? Like this is definitely someone who right up until seeing that disc is like, I don't want to go. Almost dare I mention his name, pulling a little bit of a Tuvix. Don't want to go. Yeah, I know. I've grown.
I'm shocked.
I've grown as a podcast host, and I could say those words without getting angry now. But yeah, almost a little bit manipulative towards Chakotay. But I liked it. It definitely added a layer to that relationship, and it added a layer. Like it makes you think. It's like, is their relationship more important than it is with the real Janeway? Like where's the? It's very creepy, actually. Like,
I mean, I wonder if Admiral Janeway and Chakotay have talked about, you know, it's like, so you guys were stranded together for 10 years. What exactly went on?
You know, they're watching the replays on the Protostar.
I mean, also, like, we don't know. It's like, you would think by the 24th century that, like, you know, sexual mores might be, you know, a little more open, you know, like, let's accept some. But it is a little weird. Like, I do think at some point I would like to do an episode on the ethics of the holodeck and creating holograms that look like living people.
Yeah, because they're definitely not created to be stranded somewhere for 10 years. It's definitely like not the purpose.
Yeah. But that's what happened, and they were alone for 10 years. And
10 years.
I'm sorry, 10 years with a facsimile of his girlfriend.
Yep. Yeah, y'all could put that together as much as you want, and then go to AO3 and read the fanfic. Talking about putting, you know, making a 24-minute episode and making it feel like an hour. On the ground, like on Solum, so much happens during this episode. Murph gets the almost sacrifice where you think he's like really dead for like a good minute. Dahl gets to be a hero, right? Like hitting the button, doing the Jyn Erso in Rogue One on the satellite. I don't know, that made me think of that. And Gwyn has her final epic showdown with Asencia, which, like you said earlier, MC, going for kill shots. Like, this was not kid friendly. They were going to kill each other, and Asencia actually almost kills Gwyn again. This also leads to a very cool moment with the people of Solum lending Gwyn her all of their power, right? Which I think was just like a really beautiful moment. What do we think? Epic showdown on Solum, the final battle, the final countdown.
I like you mentioning Rogue One because I knew it reminded me of a Star Wars thing, and I couldn't like. There's so many Star Wars things, so I couldn't figure out which one. But it's like, yes, absolutely Rogue One. And then the other thing it reminded me of was Star Trek '09, the fight on the platform with like Sulu and Kirk and the Romulans.
Yep.
That's 2. But I mean, it's great. Like, I love a platform fight. And
nothing wrong with a platform fight.
Gwyn and Asencia, like, yeah, they were like, I was legit worried. I mean, I didn't think they were gonna kill Gwen, but you know, I thought she could have been hurt.
Yeah,
I definitely thought she could have been hurt. Murph was, oh my God, what happened with? I love what they've done with Murph this season, because when Murph was first introduced, he was just kind of like this cute little, you know, slug guy. He's really become a character over the second season, because I know once he did the metamorphosis, like, so many people were complaining about, you know, oh, Murph isn't as cute as he used to be, which I agree. Slug Murph was adorable, but I don't think you get as much character from that Murph as you do this one, where at this point it's like Murph is not like the team mascot. He is a full member of the team, and it's just he happens to talk in little squeaks and gurgles. And I love it. And he's incredibly dangerous. And I love that. I love this adorable little, you know, jelly, you know, gummy bear, basically, taking down a huge death robot.
Yeah, I feel like it's actually very fitting that it was Murph who ends up taking him down, Dreadnought down, because I'm pretty sure that in the premiere of season 1, like, Dreadnought is on the hull and Murph fires phasers at him for the first time too. So it's like, that's like long-term storytelling as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Congressional Baseball Fan in the chat writes, we need a platform fight in Platform Heels, to which I, MC, will give you your third Kelvin reference and say I think we did have a third platform fight in Platform Heels in Star Trek Into Darkness when Uhura beams down to help Spock fight Khan, because she's wearing heels, right?
She is wearing heels, and she's probably wearing those fucking wedge heels that, you know, they always have. Yeah, because women need to be wearing some form of heels, because otherwise they're not sexy. But I think that people call them combat wedges.
Yeah. But there you go. So platform fight in Platform Heels, or platform wedges. There you go. Star Trek has everything, and it's all in the Kelvinverse. As far as all of this goes, I personally was more into what was going on in space, because I'm always a space guy. I'm a ship guy. But this was all still really cool. We were all looking forward to the final battle between Asencia and Gwyn. We knew it was going to happen at some point. It was great that her father was there too. That like kind of like really kind of the final, I think, like step in. I think Gwyn also accepting him as her father instead of just this guy that wears the face of someone who did bad things to her. And I really like that as well. Dahl getting to be the hero feels good. Murph, Murph. What can you say? It's Murph. Like he slingshot it. He pulled a Legolas and Gimli. Like he tosses Jankum, right? Is like, don't, yeah, not Legolas. Who tosses him? Who tosses Gimli? Because he says, don't tell the elf. It's Aragorn tosses him.
Yeah.
Aragorn, not Legolas, because he says, don't tell the elf. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to make a bunch of pop culture references for the next couple of hours, however long we end up going.
Could we also mention Colossus and Wolverine?
We can, because that is a big one too. I like that quite a bit. Yeah, this episode had everything, man. It was just awesome. Yeah, toss me. It's so good. Now I want to watch Two Towers, which I don't have.
I do have to say, as a cosplayer, I need somebody to do Gwyn with the glowing, like figure out some LED situation.
Someone did the LEDs in Vegas.
Really?
I have to go back and look at the pictures. I think there was one Gwyn who actually did LEDs, but I don't quote me on that. But that would be epic if someone could do it like really well. Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
I mean, I would love to try, but I'm not built like Gwen, so I don't really.
Okay. What the hell? Shit.
I mean, nobody's built like Gwen.
She's
a twig.
Yes. Let's talk about sending the Protostar home. we're at the tail end of part 1 of this episode and going into part 2. Obviously Gwyn wins. Asencia is like sees what she's done and is like, what have I done? And then it's time to send the Protostar back to Tars Lamora, but the Loom come through the wormhole in like the millions. They almost look like the vines that were very prevalent in Picard season 3, right? Like coming out of the portal, they looked like that, which I thought was I don't know if that was really an homage, but it still looked really cool. Honestly, and we're going to talk about this, the Loom amount to virtually nothing in this episode. So like, I want to ask you, what do you think about like the big freak, like Wesley's big freak out about the Loom, but then the two ships literally fly right through them like they weren't even there?
Yeah, this is kind of what I was talking about earlier, where it's like, because I think at this point we've kind of gone into part 2, but like part 1 was so action packed. Like it kind of wrapped up basically everything involving the plot except for getting the Protostar to Tars Lamora. And they kind of, and this, it feels like it takes about 5 minutes to like actually get the ship there, and there's not any. The Loom immediately go after everybody on Solum, not killing anybody that we actually recognize. So it didn't feel. I never felt the threat of the Loom in this. Nor did I feel like they said it's like, oh, well, we can't put it on autopilot, and the Voyager has to go in with us, and both ships got through just perfectly fine. And you have two ships going through this thing where these creatures can make them not exist, and just it works fine. And it felt like it's like, oh shoot, we have to wrap this up because we have a bunch of stuff that we need to set up stuff for putting the show in its proper place in the canon and maybe setting things up for a season 3. Netflix, please pick us up for a season 3. And it, it fell a little flat.
Yeah. So when I first watched these, it kind of slipped right by me because I was just so into this finale and like what was happening. And watching this today, I actually got pretty frustrated because the Loom were a really cool villain, like one of the coolest, and they're not really even villains. We've talked about this. I think that you guys talked about this on the pod last week too, MC. By the way, great job last week.
Thank you.
You're welcome. They're just like they're a great, I'll say they're a great foil. Then to basically have Wesley be like, oh no, it's the Loom, we're doomed, they're here too early. You just said it, MC. The Loom, by the way, and I think that didn't help, was that it was so overacted by Wesley that by the time they're in the wormhole, it's just like, and remember too, like they can make people disappear, like you said, but they can also just go through a hole like it's nothing. Like they can go into ships, and instead, like they just not a single Loom touched the ships at all. There was no drama to this. It's just like, do. Oh, look, Jillian's gonna get us through, and like Cetacean Ops saves the day, which one is cool, but two, you made the Loom look like a bunch of chumps when they were scary as hell for the rest of the season. And that just really hurt because it's like a WWE wrestler who's past his prime, right? And then he kind of just like, he was really good and then he stayed too long and then they don't know what to do with them anymore and they just fall to the wayside. And that's what happened with the Loom. And that's disappointing because it's not the ending that they deserve. Like they're just such a cool foil for this crew all season, and it really upset me watching this today. So
yeah, since you brought up Jillian, that was the one thing that I really liked from this part, because we've had Jillian mentioned seen throughout the season, and nothing has really happened with her. She's just kind of been there, except for like the part when she's communicating with Murph, which would have been a fine use of her. It's like, if that was the only thing that she did, it's like you had a reason for introducing her. But then they bring her in at the end and you actually show her doing her job.
Yeah.
And I love that, because like they don't just have whales and dolphins on these ships for kicks. They do an actual job, and they're actually crew members, which is like why in Lower Decks we see them wearing Starfleet uniforms, because they are Starfleet members of Starfleet. And this is nice to see her actually like doing the computers around the sides of her. And I'm like, oh, that's neat.
It was really cool to see that. I don't think that they make Starfleet uniforms in Jillian's size, and that's not shaming. She's just, those are large whales.
I mean, we didn't see the underside of her. Maybe she's got a little comm
badge. That'd be awesome. Oh man, no, that was really cool. Like, I did like that. Yeah. So as we move on, the two vessels find a path towards the wormhole exit very easily, and the crew prepare to leave the Protostar. Hollow, Janeway, and Chakotay have their moment. Her backup is intact aboard Voyager, and Dahl places his comm badge, which still gives me goosebumps every time I watch it, where Rock found it in the season 1 premiere. And that just gave me all the feels last time. It gave me all the feels this time. It's just such a great moment. What did we think about those final moments for all of them aboard the OG Protostar?
Yeah, this was when I became completely, verklempt. Like I just couldn't, like, talk amongst yourselves. I can't. I'm just crying, like the whole scene with the comm badge. And yeah, no, and saying goodbye to the Protostar, because it's not just that they're sending it back to the past, but they're sending it to its destruction.
Yeah.
And they actually get to have like the proper moment to take in that emotion of that. And not only that, but saying goodbye to it the way they first see it. I mean, that's the whole Ouroboros of the title. Yep. It's the snake eating its own tail, that they leave the Protostar the way they find it. And it's beautiful, and it makes me cry.
Yeah, this got me super emotional. It's like for me, like what I said, like when Dahl leaves the comm badge, but then when they see it go through the wormhole, and then it cuts to Tars Lamora and the crystals, and it's standing there, and you don't see them. Well, you do, you actually do, but you hear them for a second. You hear Rock's like, I wonder, or you hear Dahl go, I wonder how this got here, and it's like a whisper, right? Like they're walking to the ship, but you're almost like, oh, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. And then you see Rock hit the button, and that was just, it's such a beautiful moment that leads, though, to my next question, MC. And it's a very simple question. To montage or not to montage?
Well, I am an emotional chump, so I cried through the entire montage. But while I am an emotional chump, deep down, I am a cold-hearted writer, where it was just like, this montage does take up, like, what, 5 minutes at least?
It's long.
It's long. Are you sure there wasn't anything else you guys could have done with this? Like, you couldn't have taken those 5 minutes and made the loom, like, had the loom attack the ship? Like, I mean, I know this was cheaper to do because you had the shots all done and everything, but I think montages hit me in the feels, but in the brain, I am telling myself that this time could have been put to better use.
I do wonder, and it's a question sometime we'll have to ask Aaron or maybe the Hagemans, if there was an alternate take where there is a bigger battle with the loom, but for some reason, either budget or timing constraints, they decided to go with the montage instead. I'd be really curious to know. I will always say, and you know me, MC, I can get emotional pretty easily. Like, I'm a softie, but I'm just not a montage guy. Though, it's not really a montage, though, but it goes to a song, so it's almost a montage. The SG-1 finale, when they're aging and they're like, I want to know, will whoever see the rain? And I'm like, okay, that got me. That got me in the feels. But it's not a clip show. That's like, I don't know. It's a different kind of montage. I like that one.
Montages get me.
Yeah. Some of them get me. This one didn't. I don't know. It was a nice moment though, right? Like to wrap it all up in a nice bow.
It almost felt like, I mean, obviously, since they ended up getting canceled, like they didn't know if they were going to come back for season 3.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, so we're going to put an ending on where we could get picked up for season 3. Please pick us up for season 3. Netflix pick them up for season 3. But then they also put this in there, which could serve as a, wrap up of these 2 seasons.
Like you said, it's a coda for the entire series too.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, no. And that is a good reason to put it in, because there is doubt, right? We just don't know anything, and I'm sure they didn't have an answer when they were finishing the season. So that's a great point. Let's talk about the Return of the King ending of this episode, because it definitely has a bit of one.
Yeah.
We get a bunch. I'm going to read all these moments, and you could talk about them as you please, MC. First, Wes visits his mom and meets Jack. Talk about tears. Chakotay takes command of Voyager. Janeway retires to her farm, and the kids are in Starfleet Academy. What did we think about the Return of the King ending, MC?
The Return of the King ending. Okay, first of all, I continued to cry during the whole Wes visiting his mom thing. Like, that was, I think, my favorite acting from Will Wheaton, and the most I felt like he was Wes was all of the times, like that one time when he said, I need to save this reality. My mom lives here, way back when he was first introduced. And then this moment when he chokes up and he's like, I'm here, Mom. And like that got me. On the other hand, and I mean, as much as I love that he got to meet Jack, because that was a whole headcanon that I had, that actually I had a headcanon that Wesley would visit Jack and was basically Jack's imaginary friend. And I don't mind that headcanon is broken. I just like that Wesley got to meet Jack. But on the other hand, I'm like, there's a lot of tying to Picard in this, which isn't a bad thing, but it's just something I'm going to point out.
Fair.
I'll put it like that. It's something I'm pointing at. Chakotay taking command of Voyager. I didn't have a huge emotional reaction to that. This was the point when I stopped crying. Not because I don't like. Well, yeah, it's not. Separating character from actors. It's not that I don't like Chakotay. It's just I didn't really care that much about him taking over the ship. It didn't really have an emotional punch, mostly because we hadn't really dealt with his issues with losing his entire crew since the last flight of the Protostar. So it's been a lot of episodes. Meanwhile, all of the episodes we've seen of him since getting back have all been about his relationship with Janeway. So the fact that we had Janeway retire and him not go with her, like that I kind of wish that we had maybe a more of a button placed on that, where it's like, I mean, I know we see them together later, but Janeway saying that she's going to retire, and Chakotay's maybe like actually putting the scenes in like the reverse order, where you have Janeway going to retire and then Chakotay saying that, oh, I can't stay. I've got to.
Yeah.
And her recognizing it's like, you've got to go be the captain. And then it would actually be a kind of a nice bookend where he comes back later. And as for the kids in Starfleet, it had Vulcan kissing. So that's always a win in my book.
Hey, there you go. All right, let me go down these two. Yeah, crying a lot during Wes and Jack. I have to take that a step further, MC. I wish that we had Wesley Crusher the Traveler the entire season instead of Wesley Crusher the Doctor Who Traveler all season. Because like you said, there's these two moments in the season where he's just straight Wesley. And that's when Will Wheaton shines. The other stuff was just way too over the top for me. But when he sees Bev again, and he sees his mom, and he sees his little brother, and the way that you hear his voice crack, man, you have to be a cold-hearted son of a bitch not to feel something there. It is just such a beautiful moment. And I like that Bev gets her flowers a little bit here too, right? Because in Picard season 3, we know that, but we know by that point he doesn't stay because she straight up tells Jean-Luc, "I lost my son Wesley to the stars." Like he either never shows up again or shows up very little. So it's like, okay, Bev gets her flowers for a moment here and does get to see him at least one more time. It's a very talk about this not being a kid's show. This scene is very much written for like Star Trek fans.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think any kids would understand what's going on,
right? It's just very powerful. I am 100% with you on Chakotay taking command of Voyager. It did nothing for me. And I am a Chakotay stan. He's one of my favorite first officers. I really like Chakotay, but I, like many other people, like you mentioned, really just wanted him to retire to the farm. Like, go be with your girl. It's time. I think in canon, or at least in the books, and people who've read the books can tell me if I'm wrong, I think Chakotay leaves Starfleet when they come back. So that would have been a nice kind of like to keep things the way they did things in the novels a little bit, added that he goes to finally be with the person that he wants to be with. They could have done so many different things of who comes out of that shuttle to be like, you need to come back. Dude, you know who the right person to be coming out of that shuttle would have been? Who do you think? No. Good guess, though. I'll give you one more.
Right person. Tuvok?
Yes. It should have been Tuvok. One, we know from Picard season 3, he's in Starfleet intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
2, he's her best friend. Like, should have been him coming out of that shuttle. I'm sure that costs money to get Tim Russ and come do the lines and animate another character. But if we're doing a review show, that's what I would have wanted to see.
Also, like if we're press ganging Janeway back into Starfleet and we're stuck with the characters that we have, Jellicoe makes a little more sense.
Jellicoe could have come out of the shuttle too, yeah, for sure. Before we continue, I just want to read Congressional Baseball fans' comment. The Riker clip show set the bar too high. Always ingrained in people's memories for life. Yeah, Janeway retiring. I wish we got more from that. And then I really liked that they were the cool kids in the academy now. Like people looked up to them because they have like these experiences. I really liked that a lot. But that all comes crashing down because the synth attack happens on Mars. Like you said earlier, MC, connecting Prodigy to the much wider Star Trek universe. Because right as things are getting back to normal, that does happen. And Janeway is recalled, as we just talked about, objects vehemently to Starfleet closing inward, right? Like, should still be going to space and exploring. That's Starfleet's main mission. We also get a mention without him saying that he retired, but Jellicoe basically being like, Jean-Luc put his papers in. What do we think about Prodigy dropping this here and then connecting the series in this way? Because for me, it was like a major bombshell.
Okay. This is going to make me sound full of myself. The scene where they find out about the attack on Mars, I wrote that exact scene when I rewrote Star Trek 09 on my channel because I wanted to come up with like a better way to like a very haunting like attack, like way that the cadets found out about this attack. And so I had it like all of their, communicators start beeping and suddenly it's like you hear them all over, and I'm like, oh my God, that's what they did in this. It worked as well as I thought it would.
I do love that. That's awesome.
So yeah, no, and I mean it is tying this show to the wider Star Trek world, and it gives it a lot of heft, because people were saying it's like, oh, that's the kid show, and it's like, no, this directly ties to everything. Like, this matters. And seeing the synth attack through the eyes of our kids, like, that's a sign that, one, they're growing up, because they're seeing like a terrorist attack, and it hits us because we're watching their innocence die in that moment. Yeah. And as for Jellicoe saying that, Jean-Luc handed in his papers, so did Janeway. Janeway handed in her papers, and they made her come back.
I know, right? All active duty reserve. I guess he was already active, though, to be fair, and then quit. Yeah, but still. They could have said no.
I guess he just like completely quit. Yeah, where he's just like...
No, that's the thing. So they have that scene in Picard season 1 where they show what happens, right? Because he goes in, and Rafi's like, so what happened? Are they going to let us continue? He's like, no, they called my bluff. I told them that if they didn't let the Romulan refugee evacuation happen under my command still, then I'm resigning. And they called his bluff. And I said this to Aaron, I think, like back when season 2 first premiered, I think before people seen it, when we got our screeners. And I was like, wow, man, that it was Jellicoe that he put his papers into, it was Jellicoe that called Jean-Luc's bluff, which makes that like so much more damning. Because I think if it's any other admiral, maybe that doesn't happen. It's really interesting.
I have to say that Jellicoe is such an interesting character, because I know people want to call him a badmiral, but he's not even a badmiral.
Yeah.
He's just like such a bureaucrat.
Yeah.
And it's really, I think that's actually what makes him as scary as he is. The fact that he's not, he legitimately thinks that this is the best thing for Starfleet. And not only does he think it's the best thing for Starfleet agrees with him.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. They do. It's not like it was a unanimous decision, like a one person making that decision, right? That had to be like a board decision. Yeah. Are you good?
I am good.
Yeah, this was not in any shape, way, or form how I would ever expect the second season of Prodigy to end, right? But it does, and it's just like, man, they make you feel every bit of it, in all the different way it connects. And for Janeway to object the way she does against Jellicoe, and like you said, like, he's not a bad admiral. I think when Janeway is speaking, I think that Ronnie Cox actually did a really good job of almost like having some remorse in his voice about what's happening. Which is good for the character, because people love to hate him. But I think for that brief moment, like it really showed, it came through. So, some good does come out of all of this, because Janeway calls in some favors, because she has them. I'm guessing that it was Admiral Paris that she called in a favor to, and promotes the kids to full bird ensigns, just skipping Starfleet Academy. And then with Holo Janeway in command, gives the crew the brand new USS Protostar, who go off on a mission of exploration. Dahl takes the number. Yeah, go ahead.
It's the USS Prodigy.
No, is it?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, it's a Protostar class USS Prodigy.
Did I completely miss that?
I'm absolutely certain of this.
Oh, I'll have to go and look at that later. I did not realize that. That's awesome.
I can look it up on Memory Alpha just to make sure that I'm not full of crap.
Dude, do it. I'm going to keep going on the point. Yeah. They go off on their mission of exploration. Dahl takes the number 1 spot in a very big and mature move on his part, and Gwyn becomes the captain that we know that she should have been the entire time. What do we think about the ending? Do you have an answer, MC?
The USS Prodigy, NCC 18084, was a Protostar class Federation Starfleet starship launched in 2385.
That's amazing. I love it. I had no idea. Wow, that went right over my head. Wow, I like that.
That's why you need to have at least two people on the podcast.
Exactly. What'd you think about this like last beacon of hope in the darkness?
The last beacon of hope in the darkness. What I felt about this. I'm gonna mention Kelvin again.
Dude, we've had like 8 run a record tonight.
Well, yeah, because I get to talk a lot in this, but also this is actually the point where I was going to make my Kelvin reference, because we see in times of strife that Starfleet does promote its cadets to, full bird ensigns or lieutenants or whatever. It happened with Nog when he was during the Dominion War, because he was a cadet, and then they're like, no, we're going to make you an ensign because we're losing a lot of people during the Dominion War. And then in 09, they're like, you're all ensigns and lieutenants now because like everybody's being killed. And so they have this ship here that is, not good for anything but exploration. And they have nobody. They mention how they're shorthanded because so many people were killed in the attacks. So if they don't have enough people, to run Starfleet Academy, but they have all of these partially trained students, and especially these ones who have already like run a ship. And I guess Janeway didn't hear about the USS Valiant.
No, she was busy in the Delta Quadrant when that happened.
I mean, that is very true. And I mean, also they do have like the hologram babysitter. So
yeah.
But yeah, no, I love it. It's a wonderful setup for season 3. Netflix, please make season 3. Or if, I don't even want to say it, but if it does end up being the end, it does make a very nice, and the adventure continues to make into comic books or novels.
Yeah.
Please, if Netflix does not do anything, please comics or novels.
Yeah, I'm sure the folks at IDW are licking their chops if the thing that we don't want to happen does unfortunately happen. But I'm hoping for a season 3 pickup.
Mm-hmm.
I liked this. At the same time, it is very much like, here you go. It is very Kirk 09. It is you have to suspend your disbelief a lot here, because they haven't had a lot of time in Starfleet Academy. They are still very green. I think having a Janeway that's not just a teacher anymore and has like a full-on command protocol is very important. And I actually think having Michelle aboard is very important, because she will put all of them in their place if any of them try to fuck up again. So I think those two, and you know what? Zero as well. There's like 3 good members of that crew. Well, okay, actually, and Gwyn. You really just got to worry about Dahl, Rock, and Murph. Like, they're the wild cards on that.
I mean, Rock, I don't think you need to worry about it as much. Rock was pretty darn serious this season.
Serious to a fault at points, though.
That is true.
Yeah.
I mean, you do have to learn how to. I think we just have to accept. I mean, I mentioned the Valiant. We've mentioned 09. This is just the way Starfleet operates.
It is. It's true. It is cool, though. It's cool seeing that ship take off. It's cool seeing them in uniforms. It's cool seeing them in as officers, and it's a great setup for a potential 3rd season, which I really, really, really hope
Netflix,
we get.
Netflix, get on it.
Listen to us, please. Final thoughts on these 2 episodes, MC.
These were good episodes, but they were uneven. I thought there was way too much in the first half and then not as much in the second half. I think that if they didn't have the synth attack at the end, I would look on the second episode a lot worse. Because that really did change my opinion on it. Because these felt like a top-heavy two-parter. Everything was kind of wrapped up, and they should have had a battle with the loom.
Yep, agreed. Those are my final thoughts as well. Put it right on the head. Perfect. Cannot say any more. I'm gonna wait to ask this question until we have more people here, because we could talk about it when we eventually do our season 2 overall review. So I will just say we go to the subspace to poll and mailbag. And can you take the to poll, please?
Sure. We asked Trek Threads what we thought about the 2-part finale, and this is what they had to say. 50% said Gwyntastic. 25% said Pips. We got Pips. 0% said not a clip montage. And 25% said Janeway said, here you go.
I will say that these numbers are very skewed because we're still trying to get more people to vote on Threads. So not a lot of votes here, but it's still a poll. Yeah.
Head over to Threads, guys.
Head to Threads.
It's nice there.
We're not where that idiot, has a social media platform anymore. So come to Threads. It's fun over there. I'll start off with the mailbag. Matt Harker wrote, I thought the finale was a real nail biter, especially for a so-called kid show. I thought it struck the perfect tone to wrap up a second season that holds its own among its sister Trek shows. I especially enjoyed the direct tie-ins to the events of Picard Season 1 and Season 3 with the synth attack, the reunion of Beverly and Wes meeting Jack. Giving the crew field commissions under Janeway and continuing the mission of exploration ends the season, but hopefully not the series, on a hopeful note. Let's hope we hear of a Season 3 renewal soon. # go boldly. And can you take Troubles, please?
Trouble wrote, for the finale of a quote-unquote kid show, this episode had me on the edge of my seat, excited, and left me all warm and fuzzy inside. Bringing back the Picard uniform was awesome and just adds to the nostalgia tie-ins the show has worked so hard on this season. Plus, look at all those nice shiny pips. Janeway has saved up from not promoting Harry Kim for 7 years.
Damn, that's a good tie into our next episode in about 20 minutes. Oh, that's it. I got distracted by Harry Kim. NYRL wrote, I love most of season 2 overall, and the finale in particular. The way they integrated the attack on Mars into the show is just one example, but I just can't buy Starfleet giving the Prodigy to what had been cadets. It's how I felt after Kirk was made captain of the Enterprise in 2009. I would have bought it if Chakotay, Janeway, or some other experienced officer was in command. I would have liked to see Chakotay go with them. I think that could have worked too.
That would have given me emotional feels about Chakotay stepping on that ship. Yeah,
I agree with that very much. We have a long one here, but I let it go because it's finale. Can you take Michelle's, please?
Michelle wrote, Prodigy Season 2 was a fantastic gift to both Trek fans and newcomers to this franchise, and what the finale did not disappoint. The beauty of the animation and score stood out to me, and all of the characters shined. As a big fan of all of the Crushers, I was so happy to have Beverly and Gates McFadden back, even though her appearance was brief. And I loved that Wesley was the center of the action, thinking quickly on his feet as a traveler. I've never seen Doctor Who and really enjoyed Will Wheaton's more lively vocal performance. It seemed to fit his new life as a traveler. The reunion between Beverly and Wesley gave me all of the feels and was desperately needed after what we learned in Picard Season 3. And I love that Wesley met his little brother. What a fun addition. All the characters showed growth, and it was particularly refreshing to see Dahl have some self-awareness and recognize Gwen's leadership skills as he gave up the center seat. So grateful Netflix took a chance on the show after Paramount dropped the ball, and hope that there's a Season 3. But if not, this was an amazing adventure. A big thank you to everyone who made this season possible, and to the Strange New Pod crew for hosting these fun reviews.
Thank you, Michelle.
Thank you.
We had fun doing them. I will take it home with Mars's Mars's mailbag, who wrote, "What can I say that hasn't already been said?" I really wanted to say, "What can I say except you're welcome." The finale really exceeded my expectations. All the tie-ins to Picard season 1 and short treks with the attack on Mars and the Romulan supernova. Then to have Wesley meeting Baby Jack, tying things to Picard season 3. By the last 5 minutes of the episode, there's a rapid succession of things making me cry harder and harder. All while explaining to my 8-year-old that these are happy tears and not inundating her with nerdy canon. 3 snaps in a circle, yes. Thank you, Prodigy. The end. Oh, man. It's over. Prodigy's over. It's over. For now.
Netflix.
For now. Season 3, Netflix. Let's go. Just hit the button. Do it. Renew. I know there's just a red button. Renew or cancel. Hit it. Just do it. Renew. You're going to see our faces in less than 20 minutes because we are going to come back with a brand new late night episode at 11 p.m. Eastern, deep diving and reacting to the Lower Decks season 5 trailer. We will also talk more Prodigy in a few months when we do our full season 2 review. Gonna have to think of a way to format that because we kind of did that at the top of the season. To talk about that as a crew, but we'll
try to at least have a few more crew members on that one.
No, it'll be a one-man show. I'm gonna do the whole thing myself. I'm just gonna do it. No, join us top of the hour, 11 p.m. Eastern for that. I'll just say see you in a minute. All right, see you in a minute. And for those who aren't gonna listen, we'll see you next week for our review of Star Trek Lower Decks Season 4 as we get ready for Season 5. So for MC, I'm Julian. Live long and prosper. Majram, sarcastic Vulcan salute. Good night.
Thanks for beaming into our podcast today. If you want to keep the hailing frequencies open, you can subscribe on Apple and Google Podcasts, YouTube, and Spotify. Like what you hear? Put in a good word with Starfleet and leave us a 5-star review.